Hello, everyone. Very excited for this one. We're going to hear a story behind the Skinner Corporation. We're here with Bill Skinner. Bill, if you could introduce yourself and tell us about the company you're representing.
I'm Bill Skinner. I'm a fourth generation trucking company executive. Our company's been in business since 1932, so we are entering our third year of business. Ups, downs, everything about it. I was fortunate enough to join. My grandfather made me wash trucks and be a little bit of a janitor when I first started. I learned how to fix them. I know how to drive them. I spent time in safety and HR. That didn't last long. It's really not my cup of tea. I'm more of an operations guy. And now I'm here as president of the company after years and years of doing different things within the industry and the company, and even did my own business for a little while away from the companies.
Was it before you joined the family company?
It was kind of in the middle. It was kind of in the middle of it. Had an opportunity to go do some things and went and did it. Was marginally successful. Had the opportunity to get out of it and break even. And then I came back to the family company, and first job I did is drive a truck when I got back. So that's what we did for a little bit.
Driving
And
truck.
then,
So you went through all the stages to
yep,
understand the business from all sides.
yep,
Was your grandfather Earl Skinner, or was it his
great,
father
great
started?
grandfather, great grandfather Earl, and then my grandfather William Skinner, my namesake. He giant in the industry. He's the one that really put us on the map and very innovative. One of the best people you'll ever meet in your life. Just unbelievable his scope on what he could do and how he could do it.
Incredible. So it started, I was reading through, it started as a local milk delivery company, or
Yep.
you had to tractors for milk?
Really, before it was incorporated, started out with some teams of horses, and they were pulling grain and milk in and out of town north of Reedsburg, and really got incorporated and started up in 1932 when we got our first truck and kind of started the milk route and got on a milk route for the local dairy and just grew up from there.
Out of curiosity, when you were growing up, and maybe the rest of your family as well, did you have organized by your grandfather, or maybe if you met him, great grandfather, did you have like meetings where the whole company was coming with their families, kind of like Sam Walton? It reminds me of the book that
We
Sam Walton wrote, when every Saturday they would fly in people from different locations to get together with their families and their employees' families, and they would just mastermind, I guess, if you will, and spend time together with the family. Did you have something like that?
we did do quite a bit of that in the 80s and then through the 90s when the industry, I'm going to call it, those were the fun years. They weren't fun years, but they were fun years. The 80s brought on, of course, 78, 79, deregulation happened. We still have authority to haul freight, but it used to be you owned authority to do all the freight in certain areas of a state or community. So what you would do is buy your authority, and then you would take care of all the freight business in that part of the authority part of the world. And deregulation happened there and really got rolling in the 1980s, and it was a downturn, and it opened up the trucking to be it's the truest free market in the country right now. I would say it's the truest free market because supply and demand matters, and what we're seeing right now is a ton of supply and in our industry, and not a lot of demand for trucks, even though the economy, I mean, the stock market's performing okay relatively. It's going up and down as we've seen recently, but the cost of goods is not due to trucking right now. I can tell you that.
So it's not your fault that everything's more
No,
expensive.
we are operating at rates now that we have not seen for 10, 12 years. So
And
we're in a big downswing for a long time, and we're trying to fight our way through that and make it to the next upswing. That's what we're doing.
yeah, always those seasons that
Yep.
they're
Well,
they
this
go.
isn't really a season. This is years.
Yeah.
We're approaching 30 months in rate reductions. So it's the largest trucking recession that I've ever seen or that I know of.
How are you approaching that?
Well, of course, you cut costs where you can. You do things that are as effective as you can. You work with your customers, your good customers, and try to provide as much value as you can to them to keep your rates where they are. We're not a big enough company where we can do all of our business with direct customers. So we do have about 12% that's on the open market. And boy, that's where you really get hurt, is the open market right now, because you're competing against a lot of different other people for the same loads. It's really how the industry has been going the last 10 plus years, not quite 10 years, probably 8 or 9 years, just on some of the things that the government has done and what they've allowed and what they're not allowing. We just got to figure out how to operate in the space, and we want to continue operating.
Is there any particular change that you wish to see in the industry, or maybe provided by the government to take a turn on that situation and start finally?
I am I am one that doesn't like the government to get involved because usually they mess it up pretty good. And every industry can speak to that. Other than maybe healthcare. Healthcare is really done fantastic underneath the government regulations. But the rest of the world out here, I'm going to say that. But in this case, it really comes down to some things that used to be upheld as a standard in our industry that are no longer being upheld. Number one thing is proper training. We're seeing we have a CDL school. We train people up really well. We have some very large companies that use us to train because they rely on us, and we do a reasonably good job or better than average job or exceptional job in most cases in training up employees to get their CDL and have a career as a truck driver. And then we have formalized training programs once they're out of the school to go on and succeed at these different companies and or in our own company. So that's one thing that the training has gotten lax in a lot of cases. Even with the new ELDT mandates coming down the pike for CDLs, some of these, we call them CDL mills, exist. People are getting a CDL in 2 or 3 days to drive an 80,000 pound rig down the road. But yeah, look at the look on your face. Yeah, does that shock you? You didn't know that, did you?
No, I had no
So
idea.
that's what we're seeing. Another thing that's really hurt us as an industry, and mostly from the safety standpoint for the general public and our drivers, our citizen drivers, there's a week work visa program that really came into light late 2020. Really caused a lot of pain in our industry the last 3 years. And essentially what our industry has allowed is they've allowed non-domiciled CDL holders from other companies or commercial license holders from other countries to come in and call it a CDL that would work in America. And we know that isn't the case. So we've seen a lot of that to the tune of almost over 300,000. Over 300,000 CDLs been handed out to these work visa individuals. And we're seeing the safety go down. The safety, we're seeing more fatality and injury crashes out there, and it really centers around about 15, 20 states that have allowed this to kind of happen. Where it's a product of where we've come as a company, as a country, and how that we become a consumer group that requires everything cheap and right now, instead of let's buy something that's good and meaningful that's going to last a long time. And we've in our industry said, or our industry, I haven't said, but our industry has said, oh, we have a driver shortage. No, we have 7.2 million citizens who have CDLs. We've only got about 3.5 million jobs. We don't have a driver shortage. We have a industry problem with taking care of our people and getting the right rates and putting people in good positions to succeed and make this a viable profession. We've been very successful. Our people, our average stay time at Skinner Transfer is over 8 years, which is unheard of in the industry. Our turnover rate has been really good. We've maintained less than a 30% turnover rate. Some of your giant companies, when I go to some of the meetings, are talking about 120, 130% turnover a year. I don't even know how to manage that.
Yeah.
But here again, it's a product of they're just milling these people out, and we haven't done a good job in the industry of making this a really attractive job like it was in the 80s and 90s, even early 2000s. Very attractive job. Guys could go make a good living and support their families and be proud of what they do. And they still could be proud about that. And they can still support our families. Average driver at our company, about 78,000 gross a year. That's pretty average. We try to keep 80 plus trucks a day on the road. It's hard to do, but we try to do that. And so yeah, we've got guys that are making some good money with us, and rightfully so. They're the engine of our company. They're the ones that take the risks. They're the ones that go out on the road and do it. But when you bring these foreigners in to an industry like ours, we already have kind of the seedy underbelly kind of reputation as an industry, which is not true. We've got a lot of unbelievable men and women who work in this industry as drivers and all different things. They're not seedy at all. They're good people. You go to a truck stop nowadays, it's scary. It's scary. So the safety of our employees out there it's been put at risk by these work visa, and the safety of the general motoring public has been put at risk. And that's something that I believe we need to change as an industry and as a country. We need to get back to having some standards. I get it. Everybody wants a cheap truck. Labor rates for a lot of these people coming in the country, 20,000 gross a year. Yeah, I'm paying my people $78,000 a year because I care about them and I provide insurance and things like that. These people coming into the country, most of them are what's called a 1099. So
Yeah.
they're not even getting taxes taken out of their checks.
Wow, that's interesting. I had no idea that that was the direction that we took here in the United
No, no,
States.
no. Nobody knows about this. It's very quietly in city. And until we finally got some data, we finally had a group of guys get together. I kind of came in on the tail end of this group of people. American Truckers United is the name of the group, and they've been fighting very hard on behalf of the citizens and the citizen truck drivers and the citizen workers in our country, in our sector of the world, to bring this to light. And it's really starting to come to light here the last 5, 6 months. Where I started getting interested in is because we do have a CDL training school. We also provide job retraining. So we have what's here in Wisconsin called workforce development. It's a program where somebody loses their job. They can get money from the state, which is usually provided from the federal entity somehow, to go and get retrained in another profession, right? It's a good program. So we have had refugees from Eastern Europe, and I don't know about the other countries, but Eastern Europe's the ones that I've had the conversations with. Most of them are good people. They're here refugee wise. They're trying to escape a horrific war over there. I get it. I understand it. Workforce development puts them through our school. I have not been able to hire these people. They speak English. They communicate well. They look like they'd be great. And from what I've heard from instructors, that they're going to be good, solid individuals that can join our society and become productive. They will not come to work for our company, even if I offer them good pay, because we're a W-2 company and they want the 1099 because they've been told by their handlers as they've gotten here, don't work for a W-2 company, keep all your tax money.
That's remind me of my beginning in Germany, because that was the situation that happened over there. And there was at one point, in order to do that, you essentially had to be self-employed, seen as a sole proprietorship. And there was at one point a study that there was, I think, 500,000 sole proprietorship that started in 1 year, and mainly coming from Eastern Europe. And then a problem started. So all the problems nationwide started
Yep.
because it didn't work well, obviously, and a lot of people and taken advantage of, and that happened as well. But that's very interesting. And you've mentioned safety. Before I have the tricky question that I have to ask you in my head, but first, you mentioned safety of the drivers. You provide very good training from what I'm hearing. I would love to hear more on that later. But what do you mean by safety? Because I'm European, so my
Okay.
history in the trucking, or not even trucking, but transportation business in general, was that the safety of the drivers, outside of their lack of skills or driving drunk
Mhm.
or whatever, and killing somebody or hurt, also obviously fatal accidents that happened as well during work. But the main safety was when getting to certain areas of Europe that the drivers were attacked. They tried to steal the goods from the cars. Very common was stealing gas from the
Yeah,
cars. So they were
that's
coming and
real.
pumping the gas.
Freight theft and violent crimes have gone up substantially in the trucking community because of this issue that we're having. Freight theft alone has increased, like, I may be mistaken here, but it's increased by like 50, 60% over the last 3 years. So the theft of the potential of you having your load stolen as you're driving down the road is real. It's there. And it doesn't really matter the product, because with the way inflation was going, it was very attractive to do this because they could flip it for cash and do whatever, right? The other thing is, yes, we've had drivers get mugged. We've had drivers had guns and stuff pulled on them by these other drivers. And I'm a Second Amendment guy. I believe our people should practice our Constitution, and really, and I love that. I think they should. It's turning into a very hard job. It's very hard to attract the type of people we need to be safe. On number one, on the road, we're out there with hundreds of thousands of people every day. Our trucks, we where we base, we go to Chicago every day, multiple times a day. It is truly um, you're exposed, and you're exposing them to danger because you're around it. So we need professionals that are calm, that are patient, that are doing the right things with the truck and trailer. You can't stop these things on a dime. You have to have time and space, and be courteous and professional. You can't just, it's not like driving a car. It's definitely not like driving a car. That extra weight, the extra size, it just doesn't work. So that is part of the safety thing, keeping the general public safe, keeping themselves safe. The other part is, yes, at these truck stops, at shippers and receivers, the damage has gone up substantially to our equipment. Parking at truck stops, parking at rest areas, things like that. I don't think a month goes by where we don't have an altercation with somebody who, we've only got 80 some trucks on the road most days. About a month at a time where somebody bumps into us or runs into us. Hey, we're guilty of it too. We're not perfect, right? We make a mistake. Our drivers make a mistake, but they're making mistakes in a parking lot where we can handle things, not out on the road. And so, so that type of stuff happens, but that has increased a lot. And a lot of times you can't even get the information from these people, and local law enforcement won't deal with it.
Interesting.
Well, if it's on private property, local law enforcement will not come out and sort it out.
Wow. So I guess you have to add martial art trainings to your, and then mental training, fitness training to your.
It's just security awareness. The drivers, we talk about it. We do talk about it in newsletters, and we talk about it at our big company meetings. We have a few big company meetings a year, and be aware of what's going on around you. Don't talk about what you're doing or where you're going, because it's security. And it's a national security risk. I'm sorry, but putting people that you don't know that aren't 100% vetted in hauling freight in our country, we're a hazmat carrier. We haul hazmat. The hazmat we haul is basically concentrated Dawn dish soap, but it's still a hazmat item. And that's serious. That's serious. Should make everybody a little bit leery about just bringing whoever in to do this job, because we do haul a lot of sensitive things. There's more sensitive things on these trucks and trailers than you could ever shake a stick at. People don't know.
Yeah. It's funny that we don't take lessons from our own experience and someone else's experience, because that's happening. That's happening worldwide, and especially where the transportation business is huge for every economy in every country.
I will tell you this: the American truck driver, the American citizen truck driver, literally drives the world economy.
Yeah,
The
I
United
guess
States
so.
of America is the biggest economy in the world, and we get stuff from all over the world. We trade stuff all over the world. I know recently with the tariff stuff, some of that's slowed down, but we still drive the world economy. And if we don't have semi trucks, the world economy stops. It's that simple. If 25% of the fleet shut down in America tomorrow, it would be a catastrophe to the national security of this country. We saw a little bit of that during COVID in 2020. I mean, you saw trucks getting parked and supply chains broken, and that's what it looks like. Empty shelves. The men and women who climbed in those trucks during that time and went out and got that job done, unbelievable job by our company drivers, other company drivers across this country. They did the true American heroes. They got it done for the people when it needed to be done. And we're not in fear of going and doing a job. It was incredible. It was incredible to watch.
Now I have to ask you the tricky question.
Yeah.
What's your take on driveless semi trucks and the future of, I guess, the future of artificial intelligence everywhere? How do you see this affecting the trucking industry?
I think it's going to be something that we have to figure out how to embrace and how it's going to work. It's something that's coming. We know it's coming. I'm looking at doing different AI stuff in our company right now, just because there's manual tasks and there's things that can be done where I can take that person, instead of doing a manual task, and hopefully turn them into generating more revenue for our company, doing more sales, going on load boards and finding loads that connect better, negotiating and doing things like that, or just the basic communication of, instead of having to do all these manual tasks, I can take an extra 5 minutes with a driver who needs to be heard. The truck drivers are on an island by themselves out there. I mean, they got cell phones and stuff like that to communicate, but they're really an island by themselves doing a job, and they need support. And at times, the clerical stuff that we got to do and take care of, people get short because you got so much to get done in a day, that I want to try to shift our focus more onto the center of the driver and our employees having the time to speak, be heard, and make that part of our world better. That's where I think AI comes in. As far as the driverless trucks, I think it's something that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen in certain parts of the country that makes sense. I don't think you're going to see it in the city of Chicago. I don't think you're going to see it in New York City. I just don't think that's going to be something we're going to see. I think you'll see it eventually. Where you will see it is the big wide expanses, Las Vegas to edge of LA, something like that. That truck can navigate a wide open interstate for periods of time, and then I think at that point, then a professional driver would have to take it over and get it to where it needs to go. I've been to a lot of these places. I've driven and been in some of these yards. It's a nightmare, and and I think AI can do it eventually, but boy, them first forays into a yard to back into a dock are going to be ugly. until it learns what it's doing. You know what I mean? It's gonna be ugly for a little bit until they kind of get it all the way figured out, and the machine has time to learn what's going on and what's happening. I personally, as far as the driving goes, I think you're going to take away a large job sector where people can go out and make a really good living and earn a good paycheck away from our American citizens. So I'm a little nervous about that, but it's coming. We got to figure out how to adapt to it.
I like what you said about AI enhancing what we do so we can free up some time to spend more time with other humans that are involved in the company. I think that's a smart way to see it and approaching it. If you can do something faster without your intervention, I guess you can call it, and it's going to be same quality or some cases even better because obviously the machines don't get
Hey,
tired of.
I've got some great people working in our operations office, but they make mistakes. Just like I make mistakes. We all do. We're all human. When humans do things, we're going to make errors once in a while. It's just the way it is. So if you can get a machine to learn to do some of these tasks and jobs and not have that human element where it just happens perfectly every time, that gives people confidence to be able to do these extra little things. I believe we can get there. And I think that's a really good fit for any industry, but for ours in particular, where it's very labor intensive. I'll give you an example. About 10, 12 years ago, we had 4 or 5 customers. Oh, we got this great new transportation management system we're going to go to. Okay, great. It's great. You're going to be able to accept your loads. Everything's going to be there. All your data is going to be there. It's going to do all this. What they didn't tell you is I had to add people to run those systems. Why? Well, here's why. Because now I'm in charge of accepting loads. I'm in charge of building loads. I'm in charge of setting all the appointments. I'm in charge of giving updates as we go on the loads. So I have to add people to do this because there's certain times where we're just not a 9 to 5 industry. We are a 24/7 industry. It's just the way it is. And then on top of it, oh, by the way, I got this great thing. We're going to get you paid really good, but I had to have people actually go out to these websites and upload all this data and all the documents in order for us to get paid. So we're doing a billing function for them. So yeah, it's great for them because they saved a ton of labor and a ton of cost. I didn't get a rate increase to do it all, and I added people. And that's kind of what's happened in our industry, and it's just a fact of life. So this is where AI, I think, can come in and okay, now AI can take care of this. Once it learns it, it should be able to take care of those type of things. And again, get the people who I think can be impactful and drive money. Let's let them drive money instead of dealing with this manual labor stuff.
I agree, and it sounds like the way to go for the near future. Almost I can see this AI infrastructure or AI workforce, if you will, that will do those manual mundane tasks that you can do rather AI could do rather quickly or quicker than a human,
Yep.
and essentially avoid most of the mistakes if it's trained properly. Obviously, AI is only as good as you train it to be, and if you feed it correct information and enough information, it has no maximum capacity, I guess. It has almost limited space there to absorb and learn. That's what's going to be very helpful and
Yes.
help the industry as well. Finishing up here, what are, since you've been with the company for over a decade for sure, or was it
Yeah,
longer than?
I started in 1986 officially. So yeah, I've been around a minute or two. I started washing trucks in like, it's either 86 or 88. I was in high school. That's all I got to say.
So did you knew, by the way, that that's going to be
You
essentially?
know, I just came, I couldn't work here first. I worked for a local car dealership first, detailing cars and again, cleaning shop floors and doing things like that. And my grandfather said, you need to go get a job and learn how to work for somebody else. I did that for a year or so, maybe 2. And then I came here to start working, learning the diesel mechanics. But nope, the first thing I did is wash trucks and trailers and clean gutters. And then I started fixing them, learning how to fix them. I'm a serviceable mechanic. Let's put it that way. I can do a brake job. I'm not going to be the one that's going to rebuild an engine. So, I can do some things. And that's really, I had no intention of being in the trucking industry, but it's very strange because this industry is very addicting because nothing ever happens the same way twice, ever. And every day is a new set of challenges, a new set of problems you got to adapt and overcome to. It's a different puzzle every day. The people in this industry and some of the customers we get to deal with, some of the best salt of the earth people I've ever met in my life. You get addicted to the people, you get addicted to the processes. It's challenging. Transportation is the largest industry in the world. Nobody knows it. You say, what's large? Well, nobody can answer that question. Well, transportation is. And the American trucking industry is one of the largest industries in the world, aside from governments. Governments has gotten out of hand by hiring too many people, but it's literally one of the largest employers in the world. And here again, we drive the economies.
And 100% agree with you there. Where do you see, or what's the next big milestone for the Skinner Corporation, and perhaps for you personally as the president of the company? What do you see in the future?
Well, right now we're in damage control mode because we're it's just the way the rates are. You're just floating along and you're cash flowing and you're paying your bills, and but you're not gathering any money to reinvest in the company right now. And that's where the rates have gone. That's how the rates have gone. One of my biggest goals is to fix our sales loop. We need to do better at that. We had a guy retire, and we've been looking for the right guy. We found one. We're hoping he gets on board here pretty soon. And then we're gonna try to grow our company through our brokers division, which basically that's the overflow freight we have for our trucks, and then that gets sold to other trucking companies. That's really what we're going to do, is try to grow that division here over the next 6 months to a year to help balance out a little better and have a lower cost net income coming in. But like I said, we just got to get through this downturn. It's coming. I feel there's some positivity out there. I've been talking to a lot of customers, a lot of manufacturers, and they're quoting a ton of business and winning business right now that they never had opportunity to quote in the last 10, 15 years. So I'm not a huge fan of tariffs, but when I've got one of our biggest customers telling us, you better be ready because we're going to need you, but it's going to take 6, 8 months to get there.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that makes me feel pretty good. And then I look at him like, "Are you going to get all the workers to do it?" He held his breath and said, "We'll have to figure that out, won't we?" And I said, "Yep, we'll have to figure that out." So I mean, there's some things that are beneficial coming down the pipe right now. It's just a matter of, can we continue to operate and last long enough to do it? I 100% think we can right now. We're in an okay spot. We're not in a great spot. We're in an okay spot, and we just need to keep refining things like we have been and fight on.
Hey, that sounds like a really good news. So I know we should all be aware that
Yeah,
changes
it
take
takes
time.
time.
It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, and especially if we want to build something long term, it can be fixed like that. And you see change coming, and everyone is all good and happy, and we're moving forward. It definitely takes time. So I hope it's gonna happen like your partner just told you. Final question: any habits, routines, anything like for specifically for you personally that you do that to stay sane, I guess you can call in turbulent times or stressful times as the president of the large corporation?
Well, one of the things I do to keep my brain good is I do have my youngest daughter. She's a rodeo athlete, so she ropes calves and rides her horses. So we're focused on that. And every once in a while, I like to go do a little fishing. As far as the rest of the stuff, it's business, it's numbers. Don't take it personal. It's
Mm.
just the way it is. You have to figure the numbers out. You have to go through it. And I'm learning that lesson as I go. I got kind of dumped into the presidency almost on an emergency type basis because my father had some health issues. Thankfully, he's doing very well and he's an integral part of our business again. But I've shouldered the load of a lot of things that he was doing. And I did it at a time where he couldn't grab me by the shirt collar and say, "No, come here, we're going to do it this way." So I've been learning by trial and error. And another thing that I've learned is you got to have some peers in your industry who are truth tellers, and you got to be able to take it, and you got to be able to do something about it, or willing to do something about it. How's that sound? That's better. Not do something about it. You got to be willing to do something about it,
The
right?
willingness to do.
So that's really how I've been going and rolling and just kind of keeping going like that. And I think there's a lot of us out here in the same boat, and we're figuring out as we're going, and that's really it.
Bill, it was a fascinating conversation, and I can say after this 35 minutes, and the world needs more Skinner-like families where you can build something multi-generational, and you don't see that happening often. But it starts with proper leadership, correct leadership, and sounds like you had a pleasure of doing that, and your father, your great grandfather, and great grandfather did a great job, and I respect the fact that you didn't start it there when you went and tried different ventures before, and you had the freedom to do so before you came on board and grew to the role of a president. And I look forward to seeing what the future will bring to you and the company and the industry, and hopefully for the industry, all other industries that the
Yes.
truck company and the transportation companies are driving. So thank you for doing a great job. Please stay on for another minute, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.